My presentation is on building public demand for active living policies and environments. And so I'm gonna focus on this main theme that has already been mentioned by some people here. And interestingly, I think that it has only been brought up really by the international presenters, I think. But so this whole focus on creating a culture of health, to me, what it brought to my mind, being from Mexico and from a country where health is really understood as a human right. And this concept is not too odd for most places in the world, but I know that it is here. I've been living in the US enough time to understand that it is a controversial topic, even if in other places it's pretty straightforward and it's mainstream and it's normal and it's understood. How to build public demand for active living policies or for health in general. I think that here in the US, and this is only my opinion and you may agree or not, but I think it's hard to build a demand for something if the public doesn't feel that they have the need for it. So first we need to do something so that the public understands that they do have the right to health. And I know that it's going to be a long process, if it ever happens, to make this legal, to put it in the Constitution that health is a right, but at least to get it in the culture that health can be understood as a common good, not just as an individual privilege and an individual responsibility. Here, I believe that health is understood, not by us, public health people, but in general, as something that we buy. We buy insurance and we buy healthcare, but it's not necessarily something that everybody understands it's something that we should have. Some people believe that, some people don't, and it's very controversial. So, but in the US, something like public education is fairly well accepted, at least all the way up to high school. Everybody agrees that that should be free, that every kid should have access to public education. So that gives me a little bit of hope, because I think that in a different field, such as education, for many reasons, this has been pretty successful. The US is very good at providing education all the way up to high school to anybody, even regardless of immigration status, for example, which is not the case for healthcare. If we were to understand health as a common good, then it would be a next logic step for the public to expect not just good health care available for all, but also healthy environments and healthy policies that would help them be healthy. So I'm going to provide some examples from Latin America, specifically in programs and strategies that promote active living, and Jim has already touched on some of these, but I'm going to go a bit more into the specifics, that have been pretty successful in increasing physical activity, but also in other things. And I would like you to focus more on those other things. These programs have had a really strong focus on social equity, social justice, but also on community, on social interaction. And that has really been the main aim of these programs, not so much increasing physical activity. That has been a byproduct of them in many cases. Some of the key concepts or commonalities of these successful programs have been the utilization of public spaces. And these are, spaces that, as such, the public or the taxes of the public are helping maintain. Therefore, everybody should have the right to use them. A key concept too in these programs is the whole taking back or recovering the city and its spaces. And I think the way that it's framed is very important, taking back. So who took it? And mainly it has been cars. And in Latin America, like Jim pointed out, car ownership is still relatively low compared to the US. So in most US cities, car ownership is at about 70% or more. In Latin America, 30 or 35% is already high ownership for a city. So even if you go there and are stuck in really long traffic jams, it really doesn't mean that all the population has cars. Most of them don't have cars. but should be able to enjoy public spaces since the majority of them do pay taxes that support those spaces. So the two examples that I'll be talking about, and you've already heard about them a little bit, are the Ciclovia Recreativa that originated in Bogota, Colombia, and the Academia da Cidade program, now called Academia da Saúde from Brazil.